Our warnings tonight that Australia needs to get on top of our firebug problem this bushfire season, with up to 40% of blazes started deliberately. And it couldn't come at a more pressing time as much of the country swelters through a December heatwave.
Just air conditioning, staying at home today, inside with the dog.
Keep the aircon on and go to the beach when you can.
Western Sydney locals bracing themselves for the brutal heat today as temperatures crept up to the low 40s.
I'm already burnt, so I'll be a lot of factor 50 today.
The extreme heat prompting concerns New South Wales hospitals could see wait times in their emergency departments blow out.
There's going to be anything from dizziness, fatigue. Things that we're looking for more serious is the confusion and leading to even like unconsciousness.
A severe to extreme heatwave warning also in place for parts of North and West Queensland, while Victoria recovered from the state's hottest December day in years yesterday. Some regions peaking at more than 47 degrees.
If you don't have to go out in the periods of extreme heat, please don't. But also, if you know that there are vulnerable members of our community, check in.
Hundreds of firefighters continue to battle active bushfires across the state today. Fire officials warning us it's time to get prepared.
Watch your emergency services broadcasters because knowledge is power when you're in a high-risk fire environment.
And as we enter this fire season, experts warn we need to have a better understanding of what's behind the blazes. Research revealing up to 40% of bushfires in parts of Australia are deliberately lit by arsonists, with firebugs responsible for some of our most devastating blazes. A royal commission into Victoria's Black Saturday fires in 2009 concluded at least 3 of the 15 fires that caused the greatest harm were started by arsonists.
Police say this idle sawmill was where the deadly blaze was deliberately lit before it rapidly spread to nearby townships, claiming at least 38 lives.
And in 2019, almost 100 firebugs were blamed for destructive Queensland fires that destroyed homes and consumed thousands of hectares of bushland.
I think everyone is angry and everyone is disappointed.
We're only one of hundreds and hundreds of people that have been affected by this fire.
So who are the people behind these devastating fires? And can better understanding them save homes and lives this bushfire season?
Professor Troy McEwan is a psychologist who specialises in assessing and treating problematic behaviour, such as deliberate fire setting. Thanks so much for your time.
No worries,
I think
thanks.
a lot of viewers will be surprised by that figure of 40%, and I don't know if it's possible to generalise, but what do we know about people who do this?
Well, for a start, it's really common. We know that maybe about 1 in 100 people admit to setting fires, kind of just for no reason other to enjoy it. But mostly people who set fires are young men. Often, if they're people who've been caught, so police know about it, they're people who've got other troubles. You know, they engage in other problematic behaviours. They might have some mental health issues. They might have a history of trauma, these kinds of things. But in that sense, they're not that different to people who do other kinds of problematic things. The only thing that seems to differentiate them that much is really that they're interested in fire and they kind of, find fire fascinating. They might think it's enjoyable. And we don't really know a lot about why they choose fire versus other kinds of behaviour.
And Professor, how can understanding that psychology help put a stop to this?
Well, look, if we know more about why people do it, we can kind of prevent it at lots of different levels. We can do prevention with young people before they even start setting fires, do a lot more kind of at early ages. When people might start to show an interest in setting fires, we could get in early and kind of help to divert it if we know what the steps are to go on to actually set the fire. And then for people like me, I work with people who already have set fires, and so I'm interested to know what can we do to stop them doing that again and how can we reduce that risk. So understanding psychology really helps us to work at all those different levels, and in doing that, hopefully stop some of that 40% of bushfires, right?
How good at that do you think that this country is? Is Australia doing enough to combat this problem?
I'd like to say yes, but unfortunately I can't. I mean, we've got some good research in the last kind of 20 years that helps us know more, but the reality is there's been no really consistent funding of fire setting research in Australia. So it's all been driven just by kind of individual researchers and individual people who are interested trying to push it. But that means there's no consistency and you can't build a real kind of momentum. And then because of that, you then don't get better findings. You don't build good science. That's how science works. You build on each other's findings. So we're kind of in this situation where in Australia, it's kind of like we think that fires are something that we can, have to just put up with. They're inevitable and we have to just respond to them. But if 40% of them are being lit by people, that suggests we could prevent a really significant number. But to do that, we need more knowledge about why it's happening to stop it. So it's a bit of a circle of things that causes the problem.
Troy, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate your time.
No worries. Thank you.